Now, by definition, what is growth of microorganism? It involves an increase in the size of the population of microorganisms. Increase in the size of the population of microorganisms. In one of our classes where we talked about microorganisms around us, I told you that microorganisms can be grown in the laboratory. Now, what tells you that these microorganisms have undergone growth? It is based on the increase in the size of the population of the microorganisms. Now, please take note, most microorganisms reproduce asexually by binary fission. They reproduce asexually by binary fissions. Now, what are the factors that affect microbial growth? What are the factors that affect microbial growth? Now, we are looking at it in the light of mostly bacteria. Bacteria is one of the, one of the essential microorganisms scientists use for study in the laboratory. And we're looking at factors that affect its growth. Number one is availability of food. Availability of food. Number two is availability of space. The space is necessary for growth. If organisms are overcrowded, it will lead to death. We're going to still look at it. Another factor also that contributes to or affects growth is factors such as temperature. There must be a right temperature for it, mostly room temperature. We also have oxygen requirement. Remember, we have discussed about different types of bacteria based on their oxygen requirement. We have the ones that can do well in the presence of oxygen. We have the ones that can survive in the absence of oxygen. And we have the ones that can survive both in presence or absence of oxygen. We also have radiations. Radiations have effects in the growth of microorganisms, especially bacteria. Now, let's look at the growth phase, stages of growth in bacteria as a microorganism. Stages of growth in bacteria as a microorganism. Now, the first stage we're going to be looking at is the lag phase. The lag phase. We can call it the lagging phase. Now, in this phase, growth in bacteria is usually slow. It's just beginning. It's actually slow. Now, the reason for this is that the microorganism, which is the bacteria, is taking its time to adjust to this new environment. It's taking time to adjust to the environment, get used to the environment. Then the second stage or phase is what we call the exponential.